Thank you for joining me in the training session today. Before we get into this, I want to set a little bit of context around what this session is and why it matters. This is not about learning a new formula. It is not about shortcuts or quick wins. It is about how you think when you open Excel. Because in my experience, that is the real difference between someone who uses Excel and someone who is trusted with it. Over the years, I have worked with a wide range of spreadsheets, from simple trackers to complex reporting and decision-making tools, and one pattern shows up again and again. The issue is very rarely a lack of formulas. It is usually unclear thinking at the start. People are often solving the wrong problem, working with poorly structured data, or building something that cannot be reused. And the result is what I call messy work, not because people are not capable, but because they have not been shown how to approach it differently. So in this session, I want to walk you through a simple way of thinking before you build anything in Excel. We are going to step through 5 key questions that will help you. Clarify what is actually being asked. Connect your work to real decisions. Spot structural issues early. Avoid quick fixes that create bigger problems later, and build something that lasts beyond today. There are no heavy formulas in this. This is about slowing down just enough to make your Excel work clearer, stronger, and far more valuable. Because once you change how you think, everything you build afterwards improves. Trust me, I have been an Excel geek consultant for years. A really common pattern I see is people jumping straight into formulas. Someone asks a question and the instinct is to open Excel and start building straight away. But a formula can only answer the question it is given, and sometimes that question is not quite right. So you end up with something that works but isn't actually that useful. You deliver the task and then the feedback says, "Oh, what I actually wanted was," or "this only tells me half the story." But in essence, they only asked for half the story. What tends to follow is a cycle of adjustments and patches, which makes the workbook more complex over time. And you're spending energy on something that isn't going to hit the mark for the client. The first question to ask is what the real question is here. Not just what has been asked, but what are we actually trying to understand? Often the question you receive is just the surface. For example, someone might ask for total sales by region. But the real question might be which region is underperforming and why. If you answer the surface question, you might completely miss the insight that matters. So before you build anything, pause and challenge the question. We have some more questions to ask before we dive into building tables and writing formulas. We need to go back and reconfirm the requirement. Next, think about which decision this will support. Once this number or report exists, what happens next? Who is going to use it? And what are they expected to do differently because of it? If there is no clear action, the work might not be necessary, or it might need reshaping. Good Excel work should always lead somewhere. You just have to discover the wider purpose. When we are clear on the real ask, the real reason for the analysis and what the client really wants, we can look at the data itself. Because many Excel challenges are not formula-based, they are structure-based. Things like unclear headings, merged cells, repeated sections, or mixed data in one column. When the structure is messy, everything becomes harder than it needs to be. And people often try to fix that with more complex formulas. But the simplest and most effective step is usually to fix the structure first. This is where consultant thinking really comes in. Are we solving the actual issue or just patching over it? Sometimes we build clever workarounds to deal with inconsistent data or manual processes. And it works, but only for now, because the underlying problem is still there. A clever patch can feel productive, but it often means the same issue will recur. The next question is about sustainability. Is this something that will need to be done again next week or next month? If it is, can it be made repeatable? Or are we creating something that someone will have to rebuild each time manually? Strong Excel work is not just about solving the task once. It is about creating something that can be trusted and reused by other people who maybe don't have the same skill set as you. The challenge here should not be to prove to the customer how clever you are. It should be to prove you can fulfill their request in a user-friendly manner that their own teams can maintain. If that means you need to build instruction pages, then your role extends to getting your inner flat pack guru on, as well as your Excel geek. If we bring this together, thinking like a consultant in Excel looks like this. You pause before you build. You question the request, you fix the structure, you look for the root cause, and you design something that lasts. The formula is still important, but it comes after the thinking, not before it. Excel skill is often measured by how many formulas you know, but the biggest shift happens when you change how you think. The best Excel users do not just calculate, they design, question, and solve problems properly. So next time you open Excel, pause for a moment before you write the formula, because that pause is often where the real value is created. I hope you have found this session helpful. I look forward to seeing you in the school community soon.